In the quarterly battle with Apple, Samsung pretty much reigns supreme as the global leader in the smartphone market. Now, narrowing it down a little bit closer, let's take a look at foldables. At one point, Samsung had an 80% share of that market, but as of today, that has dwindled down to around 50% due to a different number of factors, mainly what's going on with China and other competition out there in that space. But all is not doom and gloom for Samsung, as the S24 series, the Ultra in particular, is selling very well for Samsung and is doing record numbers for them. So in this video, I'm going to break down what the Z Fold numbers look like, as well as how the Galaxy S24 series is selling. But before we dive deep into all the information, if you're new to this channel and enjoy staying up to date with the latest tech news, you landed at the right spot. Please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well. All right, let's dive into all this information. Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 6 is reportedly struggling, but the Galaxy S24 series continues to sell very well. Now, this is an article out of phonearena.com. So let's dive into this article, take a look at some of these numbers. So right here off the bat, you see a number of 270,000. So there's this leaker out on Twitter. You know him, Ice Universe, very known tipster, leaker. He leaks a lot of information about Samsung and other smartphone products as well. We got a number from him about how many units the Galaxy Z Fold series has been selling. So again, we have a number of 270,000. That is for the Z Fold, the Z Fold 6. Let's take a look right here. Interesting, more numbers were publicized on the leaker's Weibo account, including the Z Flip 6's 420,000 unit sales during its first 14 days on the global market. That brings Samsung's two foldable phones, the Z Flip 6 and the Z Fold 6, released so far this year to a grand total of 690,000 units worldwide. Now, if you look at that number is definitely not great compared to how some of the previous models have been doing. And we have some information about what those numbers have been doing. So we were hoping that Samsung would get a bounce back with the Z Fold 6 series. But at this point right now, in its first 2 weeks of release, the numbers are not looking so good as compared to what we had from last year. So in contrast, the Z Flip 5 and the Z Fold 5 accounted for a combined 100 million pre-orders in North Korea a little over a year ago. Now, again, those are just pre-order numbers. Now, all of those numbers probably came to fruition. You probably had a number of cancellations at that point, but I don't know if you're going to get a 300,000 cancellation at that number. So it does look like so far that the Z Fold 6 series is not holding up to what the Z5 series did at this point. The Galaxy Z Fold 5 and Z Flip mind you, actually proved less successful than the previous Z Fold and the Z Flip 4 as well, selling a combined 7.3 million units globally in 12 months compared to 9 million copies for the Z4 Duo. So here you see a downward trend of about 33% from the Z Fold 5 to the Z Fold 6, and it looks like that trend is going to go even down further for the Z Fold 6. We still have to wait another almost year to see what those final numbers are within the first 12 months for the Z Fold 6. But out of the gate right now, it is not going according to plan at Samsung, and there could be a number of factors for that. And there are three main reasons why that number from Samsung has dipped from 80% down to 50%. Now, before I get into these numbers, let me just tell you one thing. Leave your feelings at the door, okay? Do not get into your feels when I go over this. I'm just giving you some information. Just going to give you some context around what is happening and why those numbers for Samsung have slipped down from 80 to 50%. So leave your feelings at the door. Now let's get into it. So the first factor here is competition. There are a number of different manufacturers out there that have entered the market. So that has dipped into what Samsung's 80% share used to be, as there's just more competition, more options for consumers out there. As you can see in this chart right here, right now it says Samsung is at 50%. The next closest competitor is Huawei, which is at 30%. You have Motorola, Honor, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo. Google as well as another manufacturer out there. So a lot more choices out there, a lot more different options for consumers, and also different price points as well for consumers. So that is number one. That is the one factor as to why Samsung's market share is down as well, and is why probably the sales of the Z Fold series has dipped. The second factor I like to call it is the China factor. So in China, the home manufacturers Huawei, Honor have done gangbuster numbers in that country right now. They have made significant inroads in the Chinese market, so much that they've dipped into not only Samsung sales but as well as Apple sales as well. Now we have reports a couple of months ago that the sales of Apple's iPhones in China have dropped dramatically year over year, and the same thing obviously has happened to Samsung as Huawei and Honor has took advantage of that home turf and are selling very good in the Chinese market. And the third factor is it has like two components to it. One is a victim of their own success, Samsung, and stagnation. So let's go into what that means. So victim of their own success, like I said, at one point Samsung had an 80% market share. There was not much competition out there in the market. They had the best foldable phone on the market, hands down, no question about it. They innovated the space. They weren't the first to market, but when they came into the market, they were able to pretty much dominate that market. And then they introduced features that other foldable phones didn't have, and they were able to take over that space and take hold of it because they, Samsung being a global phenomenon that they are, was able to just take hold of that sector. Stagnation comes into play when you take a look at what has been happening with the recent Fold series, going from the 6 to the 5 to the 4. Not much has changed in terms of specs and design for these different models. So the 4, 5, and 6 all had the same hardware specs except for the Snapdragon chip. They went from the 1 to the 2 to the 3, which is in the 6. So not much of a change. Like I said, all the hardware is just the same. They made some software tweaks. They added dust resistance to the 6, as well as they made the hinge a little bit more durable. But other than that, cameras, but the RAM, everything was pretty much the same in all the 4, the 5, and the 6. So that didn't give consumers enough of a reason to upgrade every year, which is the main reason why I'm still on the 5. I've had the 3, the 4, and the 5, which is why I'm still on the 5 at this point, because 6 was not enough of an upgrade for me to justify drop it down another $1,700, $1,800, $1,900 for that phone. So that is why I do believe that Samsung has seen a dramatic dip in that number, and why the 6 series isn't selling as well as Samsung would have liked. So again, just to recap the three reasons. Number one is just more competition out there. Number two is the Chinese factor. That's why Huawei and Honor has definitely took advantage of their home market. And number three is just their stagnation in their attempts to innovate and to give us more specs and features as compared to what's out there in the market. Take a look at some of the other foldables out there. They're definitely bumped up their specs and software as well, which making Samsung look a little lazy. Again, I am a Samsung fanboy. All of my products that I have are pretty much Samsung tablet, Samsung Fold, watches. So I am Samsung fanboy. So when I say this, when I give criticisms for Samsung, it's meant to try to make them a better company overall, to make their products a little bit better. But all in all, it's not doom and gloom for Samsung. As you take a look at the Galaxy S24 families going on. So let's juxtapose that with what's going on with the Z Fold 6 series. 23.4 million units in 7 months for the Galaxy S24 series has sold, which is more than the 21 million that they did for the 23 series. So again, a nice bump up for Samsung with the S24 series. Obviously, the S24 Ultra is the one that's selling the most. That is hands down one of the best smartphones on the market right now. So again, it's not a great cloud just hanging over Samsung. The S24 series is doing very well for them. So that is a good progress of around 12% for Samsung's main high-end headset trio. And unsurprisingly, the largest improvement comes from the Ultra model. So continuing down here, speaking of the competition, just to give you just a sense of how Samsung compares to Apple. Again, in my introduction, I talked about how they battle Apple, from quarter to quarter. The Apple 15 series sold around 140 million units in 10 months. But Samsung also sells a different number of budget models from the M series to A series. So again, just wanted to give you a breakdown of what is going on with the Samsung Z Fold series as well as the S24 series. So the Z Fold series is not doing as well as they like, but the S24 series is doing gangbusters. And we'll see if that can hold true for the S25 series, how that sells for Samsung. If there's enough of a spec bump, some more designs and some more features to it, I expect these numbers to probably continue to grow for the S24 series, particularly the Ultra as well. So that was everything that I wanted to cover for you in this video. Once again, thank you for taking time out to watch this video. Drop down in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about these numbers for the Z Fold series and the Galaxy S24 series. If you think there's something for Samsung to be worried about, or if this is just a bump in the road and they will get their mojo back in the foldable market and continue to dominate. Let me know down in the comment section. I definitely want to know what you guys think about it. Once again, thank you for taking time out to watch this video. If you enjoy this type of content and enjoy staying up to date with the latest tech news, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and chances are if you enjoy this type of content, you have friends or family that enjoy this as well, so make sure you share this with them. Also, if you want to stay up to date with the latest tech news, head over to sounds30.com where I curate and aggregate tech news from around the web, covering Apple, Samsung, Google, Android, computing, and even more tech news, all at the website sounds30.com. And for more tech news in video form, check out one of these two videos right here. And until next video, guys, stay nerdy.